Travel is one of the most transformative forces we have. It broadens perspectives and builds bridges between cultures. But those life-changing moments don't happen by accident. They are meticulously designed by leaders who understand that hospitality is a human-first business. Today's guest is leading one of North America's most iconic travel brands through a period of massive evolution. Jaclyn Leibl-Cote is the president and CEO of Colette, a global powerhouse that has been guiding travelers for 107 years. While Colette is a storied third-generation family business, Jaclyn's seat at the table was earned, not given. From guiding tours through Pennsylvania Dutch country to leading global marketing and product designs, she has worked in nearly every corner of the company. Today, as the first woman to lead Colette in its century-long history, she's balancing the timeless values of human connection with the thoughtful disruption of AI and data-driven strategy. She's a leader who believes in traveling with purpose and leading with empathy. Jaclyn Leibl-Cote, welcome to The Distinguished.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So for listeners who may not know Colette, can you describe how the company got its start in 1918 to where it is today?
Yeah. It was formed by Collette, which is where the company name comes from. My grandfather purchased it in the 60s, in 1962. And we're third generation now in the Sullivan family for guided tour packages. What started as day trips and motor coach tours has evolved in the late 80s and 90s into international. And so we eliminated in 2005 our motor coach business and really focused on really going international and flying to the destinations. And so we have tour packages that are, pre-selected partners throughout the world that, bring destinations to life for our travelers. Great.
And so can you talk a little bit about how you got started in the company?
So I always worked for the business throughout college. When we were still motor coach, I would do Montreal, Quebec tours. I would do Maine clam bakes, Penn Dutch, and I would, 4 days, 4 nights, 5-day type of itineraries. But we do have a family rule that once we graduate college, we have to work outside the business for at least 3 years. So I went and worked for a technology, publicly traded, multi-billion-dollar organization, very different from travel, but learned a lot in that experience. And then once my 3 years was up, came into the business.
Right away.
Because I knew I wanted to come into the business. And I knew that I wanted to do tour design. And that was sort of my original passion. And a position opened up. It just happened to open up at my 3-year mark. And so I came in right when I could.
Are you going to have the same rule for your children as well?
If they want to come into the business, yes.
They have to work somewhere else for 3 years?
Yes.
What about grad school?
It's not mandatory, but I did go to grad school. I went to Babson in 2013, I want to say, and I graduated, so it's 2013 into 2015. I also had young kids at the time and was running a department, so it was a lot going on at once. But it's not mandatory, but highly recommended. But my personal belief with grad school is go and get some field experience and actual work experience before going to grad school so that you can bring that into the studies with you.
So when you were at the electronics company, you were selling battery backups and surge protectors. Looking back to that time, those 3 years, was there like an untransferable skill or something that you learned in that company that you would not have learned in this family company?
Definitely, especially as we have grown at Colette and the growth that we've had even just in the last 5 years, 4 years really, coming out of the pandemic. But they were a bigger organization, enterprise business. And so I looked at the career I had there. So I worked my way through the call center in different phases of the call center. And as we've evolved and as we've changed, I try to bring some of those concepts and ideas into how we could or should be thinking as we're growing as well. But making sure we stay true to who we are as Colette and what our culture is. But I still do refer back to it a lot. That's why I would have my kids do it. It was a really good learning opportunity. And I think you're still maturing when you get out of college. And it was a great opportunity to have to, it's not that I wouldn't have to work for it coming into my own company, but sometimes you don't. I had to interview for it. I had to get the job, and I had to show to myself that I could do it. And I think that that's really important.
Right. And many young people, when they graduate college, they think they know everything. So
Yeah,
so you've described, and I've seen different interviews and different publications. You've described yourself as a sports mom to 3 children and CEO of a global firm. So how do you coach your children on the concept of work ethic versus entitlements? And has that influenced the way in which you recruit young people today, the Gen Zs and so forth? And how do you mentor them there?
I love my kids, and because I love my kids, I hold them accountable. I mean, you can't have kids grow up feeling entitled and that they deserve everything. They deserve everything if they've earned everything and put the work in. As a sports mom, I was competitive. I was a field hockey and basketball player. And it teaches them if my kids come off from a game, whether they won or whether they lost, and start complaining about the other team or start complaining about the refs, I'm always going to tell them it doesn't matter. I think losing's really important, and understanding that you have to pick yourself back up. I also think that sports helps to realize it's not just you. When you're working for a company, if the team wins, we all win. If the company wins, we all win. If we lose or don't hit target or whatever it may be, we've all done that together. It doesn't mean that we just point our fingers to one person. And so I really try to keep that top of mind for them, that don't complain about that. You're always going to have people in life that are going to be the naysayers, or, be someone that's going to put barriers in front of you. You have to figure out how to get through them or over them, or whatever way you do it.
Tough love.
Tough love. I believe in it.
So your father built the company using gut and historical knowledge, while you are famously strategy and data-driven. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, can you think of an example where data told you to do something which directly contradicted your dad's gut? And so how did you navigate that tricky situation?
Yes, so this definitely happens
multiple times, I'm sure.
Often, yes. But the reason I started to really come from data was because you would get so frustrated with the subjective approach. Should I be 2 nights in Paris? Should I be 3 nights in Paris? What should the flow of a tour look like? Travelers are going to tell us. And to me, that holds a lot more weight than if you like a city more or less, where the subjectivity comes in. And so, an example would be we have a Heritage of America tour that we've had for years. Back when we were even motor coach, there were elements of that. And it's a region my dad is very passionate about. It's DC, it's New York City. And the numbers weren't there. The excellence on the tour, it was declining in revenue. And we wanted to cancel it.
Ouch.
Yes. Very, but we were growing in other areas, and it's just, so we did take it offline for a couple of years, reworked the program. If we want to be in that region, we had to make it work.
Okay.
But yeah, you just got to work through with the data and bring those data points to the conversation and try to manage that as best you can. But he's always respectful, but it's helped us make some decisions that have been tough, that he's really stuck a pole in the ground.
This is my identity. This is what I think, our company is, and you're killing the baby.
And I've been doing this a long time, and but if I want to be able to pass this to my children or to the next generation of the family, he made decisions that were different from my grandfather's, and I'm making decisions that are slightly different from his. And there just has to be a respect there, and there is.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this world is totally different, so there is no other way except to make different decisions.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the explorations line that you created. It struggled at first because it was positioned against the classic line that you had. So what was the specific data point, or perhaps traveler story, that made you realize that you had a positioning problem and not a product problem?
I would say we had both, actually. We had probably a positioning and a product problem. The product problem because we did establish small group explorations in 2008. We never, until 2019 really, we never had more than 17, 18, maybe 20 tours in that travel style. To put that in context, we have 170 tours worldwide. So it was such a small piece of the portfolio. And this is, probably back in 2017. So it had been around for 8, 9 years, or so really 9, 10 years. And I looked at the marketing budget of dedicated marketing spend to that travel style, and it was less than 1%. So everything was always bundled with the classic touring. And so it was more like, if we're going to have this and say we have this travel style, let's invest in it. Let's grow the portfolio. Or at least, or get rid of it so that we can focus more and build more classic itineraries and do it that way. So we failed in 2018, going into 2019 with making smaller groups, price increases. And then we just studied, where are small group companies traveling to? How many tours do they have in the region? And we saw where we had a lot of gaps. And we put a strategy in place coming into 2020. Obviously, that was stalled a little bit. But by 2024, we wanted to have 47 tour itineraries in small groups in the market. And we achieved that, and now we have close to 60. And what was in 2019, it was 7% of our revenue. It's now over 25% of our revenue. So when we got focused, we failed, we learned quick and moved it forward. But we still doubled down during the pandemic to make sure that we expanded that product line. And I think it was timely, because coming out of the pandemic, small group seemed a lot nicer than larger group too. So
60 out of how many?
170.
Oh, you're still at 100, about 170.
About 170, yeah.
Okay, so you've gone down on the classic line a little bit to increase this.
Yeah, but it wasn't hard to cut down on the classic, because once we got into our e-survey, that launched in 2020, we could really see excellent scores, only focused on excellence. So if tours were well below and we couldn't really position them or get them to the excellence that we were hoping for or that we want, that's a goal for the team, then we canceled. And it makes sense, because excellence is going to correlate to likelihood to travel again with Colette. And if we can't get excellent, and it's not just about the tour, it's about how we manage it before, how we manage the journey before they go on their vacation, during their vacation. We have to ace that. You don't ace that, you're not getting them back. And then how we manage it after they get back. So yeah, it wasn't difficult. It was actually probably the right thing for us to do, because we likely lost travelers because they experienced a really not a great tour.
Right. So just doing some back of the envelope calculations, it's about 1/3 of your tours are the explorations line, 25% of the revenue. So that way revenue lags a little bit. However, the classic line is much bigger. So in terms of a per person revenue that you're gaining is much higher in the explorations line.
And it's more profitable.
It's more profitable. Okay, that was going to be my next question. Yeah. Okay, so let's, as the first female CEO of the company's 107-year history, how are you intentionally redesigning the path to leadership for women in the travel industry, particularly for those that are trying to balance career ambitions with motherhood?
Yeah, so I get asked this question often, and it's tough. When I came into the business, I didn't have kids. Then I got married. I had young kids, and at the time, that's when I was really trying to grow my career. And it's important, I think, when choosing your career to know, one, you can have both. You can have a family and you can have a career, and you don't have to compromise one for the other. And I say this to people whenever they've asked me. What's important is that you have a leader that you're working for that respects and understands the flexibility that you might need, and can also recognize that you're doing your job and you're showing up. And that balance isn't one size fits all. And I think you just want to make sure that you're working for a company that respects that. For me personally, for some, career is number one and people just want to climb the ladder. But I think at the end of the day, every individual has to ask, will I feel that I had purpose in life when I finish whatever I'm doing? And I heard a really interesting interview one day on CNBC, and this CEO, and I forget who it was, said, I've never once heard anyone on their deathbed say, I wished I worked more.
Right.
They always say, I wished I traveled. I wished I spent more time with my family. So I think as an employer, it's important for us to have that flexibility so that people can be at the sporting events and be at the ballet and whatever it is that they need to do and take the time away with family. Mother, father, people are taking, it's not just about kids. It's also about people taking care of their parents sometimes as they age.
Right.
So the flexibility has to happen for all different reasons.
Okay, so I want to talk about the travel and the trends and the future of the industry a little bit. So we are moving from an experience economy to a transformation economy. So how are you designing tours for 2026 that ensure a traveler returns home not just with photos, but with a fundamentally different perspectives on themselves?
Yeah, and this is where small group explorations really affords itself, because the transformational economy is about changing your life in a different way. It's about having experiences still, but it's about how has it impacted me personally. And I think the way we incorporate impact moments into our tour itineraries, I always say to people, when people are purchasing, they're looking for things that they think they want to check off. Our job as Colette and guided touring is to make sure that we are peppering in those transformational moments that they don't realize they're going to experience when they're purchasing. And that's having conversations with a family member of a Holocaust survivor, or having conversations and talking about different religions, in a Muslim country or wherever we might be. Right. But that's why people travel. They want to connect, and we allow for a conversation to happen in a very respectful manner so people feel comfortable to ask questions that they may not always feel comfortable to ask.
So it's very interesting that the travelers are surprised, that they have a pleasant surprise. They didn't really expect the tour to be that meaningful. So you're kind of giving them more than what they had expected when they were purchasing the tour.
That's our hope, and that how they feel, yes. And we do hear really positive feedback around the impact moments and those inclusions that we sprinkle into the tour itineraries. I'm going to say it's a little bit easier to do it on small groups for sure, and that's a mandatory brand standard that we have on those tour itineraries, because what you can do with a smaller group and the places that you can visit allow for the world to open up a lot more to those sort of transformational experiences.
So you're not advertising these impact moments?
We do.
You do?
We do. But I don't think when you're reading an itinerary, it doesn't translate at that point what that impact will actually be. And that impact is so personal and individual for what, that traveler takes away.
So how do you make sure that, you are obviously partnering with some organizations for these impact moments. So how do you ensure that, in a sense, audit that these moments the impact is ethical, sustainable, is actually led by a local community, and it's genuine and it's true? So
we have a corporate citizenship team that works really closely with our tour designers. So as they're whether revising a tour itinerary, going to a new place, or a place we already go to that we think we have some opportunities to include impact moments, our corporate citizenship manager is going to work with the designer. So they'll do the research around all of those to make sure that it's ethical, that, they'll do all the vetting around that piece of it, whether it's 501c3, whatever it needs to be. And then we'll work it into the tour. So it's a collaborative effort, because our person in Rhode Island that's doing the corporate citizenship research might not be going to the destination like in Arusha in Tanzania, but our designer is. So they will go and vet and have the in-person conversations and see how it can work its way into the itinerary.
Okay, so let's talk about another interesting concept I saw from your literature, smart season travel. Mm-hmm. It's a big focus for you to combat over-tourism, which is a huge, big issue these days. So how do you convince a traveler that visiting a destination in the off-season is actually a superior experience? And are you seeing any data that one generation, the Gen Z, for example, is embracing this the smart season concept much better than the others?
Yeah. I feel like we probably tried to market it. We're heavier in marketing off season, even pre-pandemic. I think it's naturally happening for travel advisors to either showcase the awareness to the traveler if that's the path that they're booking through, or travelers are reading a lot more about it, especially in the places like Europe or Australia, New Zealand. You can still sit outside in March, and you're not going to have the crowds, and you're going to feel like you have just more freedom and not the masses there with you. So, the over tourism, it impacts a lot. I mean, especially in high season months, because the Statue of David, we don't do the tickets to go into that museum any longer because we can't. Because they have a set number that they'll sell daily,
Right.
and we can't guarantee it. And so those are things people have to do on their own. And but that's because of over tourism. You will have a better chance in the off season for us to be able to include some of those things to enhance the tour, to add value too. I think if you're going to travel or travelers are going to go in the off season, they should get some value out of it as well, not just the price savings, but some value within the itinerary that you can't get in the main season. And so I think that's important too.
Right, and you mentioned March in Europe, and I cannot even remember how many times I've gone to Europe in March, and it's just a very nice experience.
Jean jacket, little scarf that you can take on or off, but you can sit outside, and and you're doing so much walking. So, Europe and the off season to me is wonderful, but it's about educating and having people do the research too.
Right. Okay, so let's move to AI. You've spoken about thoughtful disruption regarding AI. So what is that one part of the travel experience that you will never allow AI to handle? And why is that human friction, obviously, that causes that human friction? Why is that a core value to what you provide?
I feel AI is a tool that will help elevate the guided touring experience. Example, AI will not be able to become a tour manager. It won't be able to. It wasn't born in Italy. It's not going to tell you its holiday traditions like the human element will do with our tour guides, right? And that's what travelers are obsessed with and really want when they're going to a destination. They want to talk to someone who's local. AI is not going to be able to do that. But AI will be able to enhance the way that a tour manager can deliver the tour and different facets of what they're doing. So I think it will be a tool to help continue to improve the overall experience.
So we have a lot of students and young professionals who are listening to the podcast. So if you were a graduating senior in 2026 looking for a career in this transformation economy, what is that one question you would ask an interviewer to determine if that company truly values innovation, or is it just a buzzword that they're using?
And that's true. You have words like when innovation came around, it was overused, misused, and abused. And you got to be cautious of that with AI as well, because you have to surround yourself with people who really understand how we can leverage AI as a tool. It's not a full replacement for all people. It's really not going to be. And you said you wanted the one thing that I would tell them.
How would a student or someone looking for a job know that the company truly values innovation?
To me, a company truly values innovation and embracing of just new ideas.
Right.
I would definitely be asking that in the interview of what have you brought to the table, or that you have seen change, and how did it come about within the organization? Because it's not the top leading. It's the knowledge is always peppered somewhere in the middle. The people in the day-to-day. There's knowledge across the business, so I don't mean it like that. But the younger generation brings in a talent and a skill because they've had electronics in their hands since birth. And the workforce has multiple generations, and many that don't have it to that. I mean, they have their cell phones and their iPhones or whatever they have. They're probably on Facebook, but they're not embracing AI in the same way. So I would say a company that's really serious would showcase that and likely be asking questions during the interview.
Okay. You often cite Walt Whitman, be curious. So what is that one destination you visited that has challenged your curiosity? And what is that one piece of advice you would give to young professionals on how to travel with purpose?
Gosh, I've been to so many destinations, so this is really hard.
This is really hard.
This
yes.
is really hard question.
Just pick any one destination that has really, sort of opened your eyes to something that you didn't know. Had an impactful moment for you.
I think it would be, I can't remember if it was when I was in Dubai or Morocco. But it was really powerful. So our tour guide, because at the time there were different wars going on, and you talk to the tour guide, the person at the tourism board was with us, and just asked the question, what's it like, there's a sense that the Muslim culture are all angry. And he goes, what's so sad is that 0.004% of the population is defining. And I was just like looking at him going, he's so right. And that the purpose there, I think, for me was that you want more people to travel because travel is the biggest educator. And it breaks the stereotypes and the perceptions in the world. And the more I think if more people could travel and learn and understand, I think we could get closer to more peace around the world, to be quite honest. Because you realize how similar you are versus how different you are.
Right. So that was your impact moment.
That I have two.
You have two, okay.
Okay. The other one was when I was in Peru. And I was with the whole product team at the time. And we were in an Andean village. We had brought food and we had brought school supplies, and we're meeting with them. And that was when we launched, or my father decided that we were going to launch our Colette Cares and our Colette Foundation and start giving back to the communities that we travel to. So I think that was also really powerful because giving back has always been part of Colette's DNA, but being in the moment when my dad decided that we had to start funding it more had a lot of purpose and a lot of meaning.
Okay. So let's close with a quick lightning round.
Okay.
Short answers, no overthinking.
Okay.
New Zealand is famously your favorite. If you had to pick a silver medal destination just to make other countries feel better, what would it be?
Italy.
Okay. Good answer. I love it. Window seat, aisle seat, or I'm the CEO, I'll just sit in the cockpit seat?
Aisle.
Aisle, okay. Good answer. You used to sell battery backups in data centers. Honestly, which is a harder sell, a surge protector or 21 days in Tuscany?
Probably a surge protector.
Surge protector. Yeah. One item you always pack that would definitely get you roasted by a professional travel influencer.
One thing that will get me roasted?
Yeah. Like, what is she thinking? She's taking this with her?
A book.
A book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or my Kindle now.
Beach, mountains, or a secondary city no one has heard of yet?
Secondary city.
Okay. During lockdown, your kids played Colette. Mm-hmm. Who was the tougher boss, you or your daughter Ashley when she was playing you?
Oh, probably my daughter Ashley.
Okay.
Because it was her brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Your sports mom's survival essential, extra coffee or a hidden stash of snacks?
That's a tough one.
You need both.
I'm going to go extra coffee, but I always have snacks in my office. Everyone knows it.
The last question, my favorite. The first 3 CEOs of the company stayed in their position for decades. You're clearly not someone who's going to flout tradition. Can I book you for a return podcast in early 2050s?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you. So you've described your role as being a pathfinder and a bridge, honoring a 107-year-old legacy while building a vision for the next century of travel. Your journey from the call center to the corner office is an incredible blueprint for our listeners. And it reminds us that the best leaders are the ones who never stop being curious. So thank you so much for joining us on The Distinguished.
Thank you very much.
For our students and young professionals watching today, Jaclyn's story is a reminder that in the transformation economy, our most valuable asset isn't an algorithm, it's human connection. Whether you are starting your career in a tech firm or on the front lines of service, every step is a building block for the leader you are becoming. If you would like to join the conversation or share your thoughts on this episode, you can email me at shadean@bu.edu. Thank you to the entire team at Boston University School of Hospitality Administration. This episode was produced by Mara Littman with research and content development by Dr. Lan Lu. Expert assistance was provided by Alex Dienst and Isabella Lakin. To keep up with distinguished podcasts, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite shows. You can also learn more about experience innovation in our undergraduate and graduate programs by visiting bu.edu/hospitality. I'm Arun Upneja, Dean of the BU School of Hospitality, wishing you a day full of purpose and, as Jaclyn would say, a lot of curiosity. We'll see you the next time.